Hello, my name is Riley Pearson, and I'm a senior at Fort Recovery High School. When I began my research, I was perplexed about how infanticide was a topic of concern because I was unaware of how prevalent infanticide has been throughout history and remains prevalent to this day. Infanticide is simply killing a newborn, usually categorized as before 1 year of age. I was confused as to why this needed spoken on because this is obviously immoral and is classified as homicide and is illegal in the United States, unlike another form of murdering babies. However, the reason this needs discussed is that infanticide is the number one cause of death among infants under 1 year old, and in third world countries, infanticide rates can be up to 50% of all newborn babies. These numbers were shocking to me, but the good news is the infanticide rates have significantly dropped in the US since 1970. Unfortunately, this decline in numbers had nothing to do with parents realizing the value of that baby's life, but rather it was significantly correlated with Roe v. Wade and the legalization of abortion. Infanticide is not a new phenomenon. Unfortunately, has had much more prevalence in the past than it does today, but it was even a part of some cultures at times. The church has been extremely consistent on infanticide for a very long time. While it is obvious killing is against the church, in 1600 AD, the church made it a part of their doctrine and explicitly stated that infanticide was wrong. The concept is quite simple. Babies are people. Killing people is wrong. Unfortunately, not everyone sees it that way, and for me to properly refute infanticide, I should first explain the reasoning behind why this horrid act is so common. At its roots, infanticide began because of the financial stress that a newborn put on a family. That particular cause becomes quite complex, because no matter how much one harps on how immoral it is, they won't stop the practice because of the financial burden. This problem of financial burden still exists in developed countries. However, as society evolves into the countries we have today, such as the one we live in, the severity of financial stress and if it puts on a family diminishes, while infanticide does not. This is not to say a baby isn't a financial burden still, but with our social programs, it makes it financially viable to keep that child. So, what is the reasoning for infanticide now? A large portion of it is due to a lack of respect for life. Infants born with disabilities are victims of infanticide at a rate 10 times higher than babies lacking a disability. It is incredibly disheartening to learn that people believe those with special needs are not worthy of life, or possibly that they think that child is going to be a burden to them. I have never met a parent who has believed that. Every single one talks about how the child is the joy of their life, the best thing that's ever happened to them. For an individual to think that killing their child is the best choice for them is absolutely vile. It is clear that most everyone is in agreement that infanticide is immoral and wrong, but it still happens. So how can we prevent this? While conducting my research, the consensus number one solution was better forms of sex education and birth control, namely abortion, to prevent unwanted pregnancies. While this may significantly lower the number of infanticides, this solution is simply a logical fallacy. It is just ending a life at a different stage. No babies are being saved from abortion. It is simply transferring their murder into another statistic. The true solution to infanticide and all right to life crimes is a respect for life. An understanding that each individual life is important, and as a parent, it is your job to care for and love that child. But that does not mean that you own the life of that child. That does not mean that you can decide to end that child's life if you seem it to be fit. Life is precious and each individual is of importance. What type of society are we if we are killing our next generation? Thank you.